thalamus. We are looking at a dorsal part from the top, kinda. There is basically main regions: anterior part, lateral part, posterior part, medial part, and central part. This part is actually a white matter tract. It is represented by blue, but it's actually a white matter tract. And on there is around a thalamus also a white matter tract. Yeah. So first of all, we should look at the anterior nuclei. They are subdivided in at least three nuclei, such as anteromedial nucleus, anterodorsal nucleus, and anteroventral nucleus. Then lateral side or part, which is very big actually. So first of all, we have ventral anterior nucleus and ventral lateral nucleus. Ventral anterior, ventral lateral nucleus. And they are responsible mostly for motor activity. Basically, many inputs are from the brain coming here. It's kind of a relay. It is a very important one for motor activity. Then we have ventral intermediate nucleus. It is not always represented, but it exists. Probably because I'm not a real neuroscientist, but I mean, I've seen it in some serious sources, so I don't know its function because I've been making this circuit many years ago, and now I'm just reviewing it, and I just decided that maybe we can review it together. So then we have two other nuclei, which is these ventral posterior medial and ventral posterolateral. It's somehow like that, maybe slightly different, but it is positioned here in this region of the thalamus, and they are kind of sensory relays. These are motor, and these are sensory ones. And then we have a little bit more medially this one, lateral dorsal, which is actually pretty big, and there's even several parts like medial and lateral. There are some really great details for that. If I'm not mistaken, probably medial part is kind of connected to piriform cortex and to orbitofrontal cortex. There are some crazy connections. I remember I've been learning about that many years ago in great details, but I forgot that. But this is really big. Nucleus is also a sensory relay, and it is involved into connectome of orbital prefrontal cortex, and also with the smell. And lateral part of this lateral dorsal nucleus can be also a relay for maybe inputs from ventral pallidum or something like that. There are many of them. Okay, and we have also lateral posterior nucleus. I honestly don't remember its function, but it is here. Then here we have... No, wait, I'm sorry. I need to record. My goodness, stupid me. Well, guys, everything that I mentioned about this nucleus is actually related to this nucleus. This is lateral dorsal nucleus, and this is medial dorsal nucleus. So basically, lateral dorsal, medial dorsal, and everything that I said about this nucleus is actually related to this nucleus. As you can see, there's medial part and lateral part, and this is sensory. This is probably also sensory. I'm not sure, but this is definitely sensory. This is kind of big nucleus. This is really huge nucleus, and there is extensive connectome. So let's continue. Also, we have nucleus reunions, I guess. It is literally located close to thalamic adhesion. What is thalamic adhesion? This is a part which connects both thalami on the right and left hemisphere, kind of this. And it literally penetrates third ventricle, because imagine that there is kind of... No, there's literally a third ventricle, basically a space which filled by fluid. Cerebrospinal fluid, right? And this is literally connects to thalami nucleus reunions, and somewhere there we actually can read its function. Well, I will try to read. Nucleus reunions receives afferents input from a large number of structures, mainly from limbic structures. It sends projections to the medial prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the entorhinal cortex. I think it's probably true. Well, and we also have, basically here I was kind of a little bit creative. It is not sure, I'm not sure that it is here, but it's somewhere here. It's basically this series of nuclei called kind of midline group of nuclei, and they are located somewhere here. Because we also have another group of nuclei which are... I forgot how is they called. Is it kind of intralamina, I guess, intralamina, because this is kind of white matter kind of lamina, and the intralamina thalamic nuclei probably, and we basically have at least 5 of them. And again, I was kind of creative, but I think it is pretty precise. I was really careful at the time. So most likely on most anterior part of the thalamus, we have central central medial nucleus, which is here, because this is a right hemisphere kind of. Central medial nucleus on the medial side, central lateral nucleus on the lateral side, somewhere here. And then a little bit more posteriorly, we have paracentral nucleus. And then a little bit further back on the back side, we have central median nucleus, central median. And a little bit further back, we have parafascicular nucleus. I think parafascicular because it was not within the fasciculus, but um, it's kind of within, but I'm not sure. I mean, there's parafascicular nucleus, which is here, which is in intralaminar group of nuclei, and there's also subfascicular, which is kind of literally underneath. So subfascicular is not within. This is parafascicular. Maybe it means within. I'm not sure. And subfascicular is underneath, somewhere there. It's literally somewhere here. But subfascicular is it can be much bigger. This is just a schematic, really. These are different sizes, but it is just for sake of schematic. And here into midline group, there are at least 4, or maybe with this one, 5 nuclei. We have paraventricular nucleus. Please do not confuse this paraventricular nucleus with the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus, because look at this. This is hypothalamus and PVN, paraventricular nucleus. This is totally different. These are totally different. Different functions. Basically, this is mostly thalamus. The most important function of thalamus is relay, basically motorly or especially sensory one. This is such a wide out structure, literally the center of our brain. And the most important function of hypothalamus, or basically the main function of hypothalamus, is secretion of certain central chemicals in our body, literally like the most important hormones. And there are some center for hunger, for sleep, for sexual stuff. There's some regulators of our body which secrete some serotonin, oxytocin, vasopressin, some of the sex hormones, some of them. I mean, not like literally sex hormones, but some of the precursors, such as luteinizing hormone, and some of the other. There are many really, especially this arcuate nucleus, which literally lies on the base of hypothalamus, is actually huge, and there are so many different secretory cells. Really, there's so many. There's some neuropeptides, gamma, something that I remember. There are a lot. But anyway, let's get back here. So paraventricular nucleus, peritoneal nucleus is also, these nuclei are mostly sensory related nuclei. Rhomboid nucleus and subfascicular nucleus. And lastly, we have on a most posterior part, we have pulvinar nuclei. They actually, again, they are not completely here. They might be kind of slightly on a, maybe actually here. Yes, they are kind of here. They definitely on the posterior part. It's kind of like an eminence. In reality, it's kind of like an eminence. If you will see on a real thalamus, you will see that there is some eminence. Actually, on anterior part, there's also some. If I'm not mistaken, there's some tubercle or eminence, or how it's called. Some little tubercle. And here also. And we have medial pulvinar, dorsal pulvinar, lateral pulvinar, and inferior pulvinar. These are main subdivisions. And lastly, we have one of the most important nuclei of the thalamus. We have geniculate nuclei, medial geniculate nucleus, and lateral. In reality, they are kind of slightly more laterally. They are kind of here and here. Also, very noticeable tubercles. If you will see real thalamus, you will notice them immediately. Really, they are very prominent, and you cannot confuse them. So the most important function of lateral geniculate nucleus is to relay visual information. This is such an important one, really. All of the input which comes from eyes eventually end up being here, and from here it goes to occipital cortex, which is primary visual cortex. So without the structure, the whole system won't work. And medial geniculate nucleus correspondingly responsible for audio. Also, all of the inputs which come from our ears eventually end up here and then radiate towards auditory cortex, which is Brodmann region 42, 41, and 42. And they are located in medial sulcus. Lateral sulcus, what am I talking about? That's it. So we might remind some of the functions here. Basically, the function of... oh, wait, there's thalamic reticular nucleus. I totally forgot. This is a part of a ventral thalamus. It is separated from thalamus by the external lamina. This is called external lamina. This is probably internal lamina. This is external lamina, and there is some reticular nucleus. Yes, I remember. Reticular nucleus is probably GABAergic. GABAergic means inhibitory, so it literally covers whole thalamus, and it's probably literally regulates all of the nuclei. Literally, kind of network of cells, GABAergic, which modulates the whole activity of thalamus. I cannot imagine how complex this connectome, but this system is so beautiful. This is in your brain right now, so appreciate your brain. But again, thalamic reticular nucleus. It is separated from a thalamus by the external lamina. Reticular cells are GABAergic. I was right. This is the only thalamic nucleus that does not project to the cerebral cortex. Instead, it modulates the information from other nuclei in the thalamus. Right, I remember it. Central median nucleus. Again, it is it is here. Central median nucleus. Central median nucleus. It sends nerve fibers to the subthalamic nucleus and putamen. It receives nerve fibers from cerebral cortex, vestibular nuclei, globus pallidus, superior colliculus, reticular formation, and spinothalamic tract. Then, peritoneal nucleus. Peritoneal is here, somewhere here. It's midline nuclei again. Peritoneal nucleus. Like other midline nuclei, receives input from a large number of regions in the brainstem, hypothalamus, limbic system. It projects back to an equally wide range, include medial frontal polar cortex, the anterior cingulate cortex, the piriform cortex, and entorhinal cortex. The ventral subiculum, claustrum, the nucleus accumbens, the medium striatum, the bed nucleus of striatum terminalis, and caudal parts of the central and basal nuclei of amygdala. Oh my goodness, very interesting. Nucleus reunions, which is again located here in intrathalamic adhesion. The midline, oh no, receives nucleus reunions receives afferent inputs from a large number of structures, mainly from limbic structures. It sends projections to the medial prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, and the entorhinal cortex. Then, the midline nuclei are often called non-specific, is that they project widely to the cortex and elsewhere. Paraventricular and peritoneal nuclei involved in viscerolimbic functions, and the reunions and rhomboid nuclei involved in multimodal sensory processing. The anterior nuclei receive afferents from the mammillary bodies via the mammillothalamic tract and from the subiculum via fornix. In turn, they project to the cingulate cortex. The medial dorsal nucleus is an association association nucleus. The lateral part, which is here, the lateral part of the medial dorsal nucleus, receives projections from the superior colliculus, olfactory cortex, and the ventral pallidum. It has efferent projections to the frontal eye fields, which is Brodmann region 8, and anterior cingulate cortex. The medial portion, which is here, the medial portion along with midline nuclei, which is here, receives input from the solitary nucleus, substantia nigra part reticulata, amygdala, and ventral pallidum. It projects to the limbic areas, insular cortex, orbital frontal cortex, and subcallosal region. The ventral anterior nucleus, which is here, this is motor nucleus, receives a main input from the globus pallidus, the efferent output to the premotor cortex, right? The ventrolateral nucleus, which is here, receives inputs from the basal ganglia, which includes the substantia nigra pars reticulata, which is GABAergic, by the way, and the globus pallidus, and also inputs from the cerebellum. It sends neuronal output to the primary motor cortex and premotor cortex. The ventral posterolateral nucleus is here, very close to pulmina, basically. Wait, yeah. The ventral lateral nucleus receives input from the basal ganglia, which include. No, wait, what am I talking about? The ventral posterolateral. Yeah, right, posterolateral. This one. Ventral posterolateral nucleus receives information from the neospinothalamic tract, tract, and the medial lemniscus of the PCMLP. Basically, this is a very big white matter tract from our spinal cord, which collects sensory information from our skin and some of the other regions of our body. And basically, all of the sensations are going through this tract, and eventually they are going through all of these structures and reach our prefrontal cortex. Part of the prefrontal cortex, which is oh no. What am I talking about? I'm just a little bit tired. I'm a little bit in her. I mean, it reaches sensory cortex, which is Rodman region 1 to 3, and it is post-central sulcus. Post-central. And lastly, the ventral posterior medial nucleus, which is here. Ventral posterior medial nucleus contains synapses between second and third order neurons from the anterior trigeminothalamic tract, and posterior trigeminothalamic tract also receives taste afferent information from the solitary tract and projects to the cortical gustatory area. Gustatory area, if I'm not mistaken, is Brodmann area 53. And it is located in insular cortex, kind of deeper in the brain. Area. Yeah. So basically, that's it. I hope you learned something, and thank you for your attention.